With ever-increasing data, organizations have realized the need to process it efficiently. To make the most out of it, there has been a growing demand for separating storage and compute. This is where Kafka and Snowflake are the two major elements involved in the process of moving streaming data to a cloud data platform. What we're looking at here is Confluent Cloud, and it was developed by the co-creators of Apache Kafka and is a fully managed user interface to simplify processes such as transferring records from Kafka topics, managing cluster resources, and more. Since these processes require a lot of commands and time during executions, Confluent Cloud was built to provide an automated way of delivering Apache Kafka facilities. So there are several steps to set up Confluent Cloud. First, we want to go ahead to the environments, and here we can choose the default environment. Next up, we want to create a cluster, so go ahead and click Add Cluster. We will go with the basic configuration. You want to make sure to choose your cloud provider, and you want to make sure that the region is the same as is your Snowflake account in. So in our case, this is EU Central 1, which you can quickly check, and your URL. Now for availability, we can leave it a single zone and click Continue. So we will skip payment for now as we're using the free trial, and here you can change the name of the cluster or just leave it as it is. So go ahead and launch cluster. This can take up to a few seconds. So we've already created our cluster, and we can go ahead to cluster settings and have a look at an overview of our cluster. Next up, you want to go to topics and create a new topic. So you can leave this and create a topic with default. Now the next thing is to actually connect to our Snowflake account. So go ahead to connectors, and we will choose the Snowflake Sync connector, which uses the Kafka Connect API to read data from one or more Kafka topics and load the data into a Snowflake table. So go ahead and click on that and make sure to choose the topic we've just created. Click Continue. And the first thing to do is to generate the API key and download it, and you want to make sure to actually save those keys and the secret as well, as we will need these later on. Now once you've done that, click Continue. And the first thing we need is the connection URL, which you can find here. So go to Snowflake, and here you can copy account URL. Paste it, and then you need to provide it with the username, in our case Billigence demo, and next thing you need is the private key. So the way to create a private key is you can have a look at the Snowflake documentation in key pair authentication, where you will find the commands on how to generate the private key. So go ahead and copy this command and paste it into your terminal. Second thing, you want to create a public key by referencing the private key you just created. So use the command here. And last thing, you want to make sure to assign the public key to a Snowflake user. So you can go to your worksheet, and you want to alter username set RSA public key, and then paste your key in here. Now go ahead and copy your private key. So once you've copied your private key, one thing you want to make sure is that if the key is split across multiple lines, you need to remove the line breaks. So paste the key in there. And last thing you have to do is provide the database name. So in our case, we're just using a simple demo database. It's called demo with a public schema. Now click Continue. Here you want to choose the value format. In our case, it will be JSON. Continue. We can leave one task as we won't be loading large amounts of data. Click Continue. And finally, you can change the name of your connector, and you can review the connector you just created and go ahead and launch the connector. Now this can take from a few seconds up to a few minutes to actually get the connector up and running. So after just a minute, we can see that our Snowflake Sync connector is up and running. Now we can go to topics and click on the topic we've created, and here click on messages. So we can actually produce new messages to the topic manually. So go ahead and click produce. So you can see we've produced a new message. Now if you go to your Snowflake account and to data in your database demo, here you can find that in the stages we have the Snowflake Kafka connector stage that was created, and also in the tables we see that we have a table called topic, and here we can preview the data. So this will take a few seconds to send the message that we've just produced. So after a few seconds we can see our produced message in here. Now this is one way of doing it manually, but it is also possible to automate this process by using a simple Python script. So let's have a look at the script that we can use. So here we have a configuration. So for this one we have the Bootstrap server, and you can find your Bootstrap server in the cluster settings Bootstrap server. And then we have the username and the password, and this username and the password comes from the generated API keys when we were creating the Snowflake Sync connector. So go ahead and paste those in here. Now what you want to do is that you want to give it the correct name of your topic. So in our case it was topic 0, and you want to create the producer, which was imported from the Confluent Kafka. Now, in our case, we are using a JSON file to generate some messages, which we want to send to Snowflake. And after this, we're producing the messages and just printing out some more payload sent information. So go ahead and update those, save the script, and then you can run the script and we will be able to produce those messages. Now, if we go back to our Snowflake account, we can see that we managed to send the JSON data. Now, this script can be scheduled to run as often as we need the data updated, or an additional check can be added to check whether the data was changed and then pull the new data. And this is how you can set up a simple scheduled way of streaming data with the help of Kafka.